we'll have like a song or something, or something that you bring the man of God up. You know, you have to have. I wish I had somebody run over there and hit some tunes or something. Bring them up, but we just gonna have to bring them up like we can anyway, right? You don't need to be, you know, prime. Then y'all went to the country for the summer. Y'all ain't go to the country for the. Y'all don't drink that well water. Y'all know that well water is.
You know that well water is.
A little bit about it. That well, when you drink that well water, you gotta leave primer there. You know, the primer is you gotta leave a cup of water there so that when you pour it down and bring the other cups up. It worked in the country. Y'all big city. Y'all drink water out of the tap. Get fish out the grocery store. But you can see on the display, you can see that it's the Intercontinental Men's Conference Retreat. It's held every year in August, and it's hosted by Dr. Robert Brewington and the Intercontinental Men's staff. And it's a magnificent conference. As a matter of fact, last year we got to hang out with Dr. Kajuku. Doing any work with young black boys, and you have not read any of his work, then I would suggest that before you do anything else, you read some of his work. But Dr. Brewington is engaged in building men, and the conference is magnificent. He is a dynamic preacher, of course, but he's a builder of men. I call him my spiritual big uncle. Every time I need to rap to him, he's ready to answer. We went to his house with my son. He has a dog called Menace. And we went to the house, and one of the funniest things that happened to my son, the dog got behind the nail coats, and that joker ran all the way through the house. But the dog chased him, died in his mother's arms. Brother, we can't come to your house no more. The dog eat people. But he's a great man, great father. I can give you all his accolades and all of that good stuff. But I want to tell you, he's a man of God. He's sent here, I believe, by God to charge us as we go into the next phase of this. Again, answering the question, not only what have we talked about, we had Dr. White here to challenge us to be engaged in leadership. We had Sherman Freeman here to try to talk to us from a passionate position, why he does what he does. And then we had the workshop centered around you gaining some information. And now that you've gained that information, and we had a conversation to a degree based on some of that. And I want to charge you as you leave out. Most of you are doing great works or wanting to get involved in great works. I want to give you a kind of charge that'll take you forward. So I just want you to help me. I don't have no, I ain't gonna say that. Y'all hear about waving your hands in the air, waving like, okay. Anyway, I want you to help me show your appreciation, show your love for Dr. Robert Brewington, all the way from Pontiac, Michigan.
It's good to see everybody that's here. I'm glad to be in Indianapolis for an occasion such as this. We need more of these opportunities across not just Indianapolis, but we need them across our great country. We're in a crisis, if you haven't noticed. We have a leadership crisis. We have a manhood crisis, a fatherhood crisis. We have brotherhood crisis. Most of all, we have an African crisis. We have a crisis of identity. And if we don't settle it for ourselves, this crisis may land us in a place where we may not be destroyed, but we'll be a constant symbol of what it means when men forget their place. We're supposed to love the children. Malachi speaks in chapter 4 of Jesus coming and that he would turn the fathers' hearts back to the children and the children's hearts back to the fathers. Maybe I'll take some time now, just for a few moments, to try and stir us up to some things that we can do, and reflect on some of the crises that we saw and heard come up just now. There's a man named Eli, I think that's what his first name is, Goldratt. He's a guru for factories, manufacturing, production. Wrote the book, The Goal. Wrote a few books. He also wrote a book called Haystack Syndrome. The elements of the book mention that we have more information than ever before available to us. Smartest generation on earth. We can, in a moment's time, find whatever information we want to have at the touch of a finger. The only problem is we have difficulty determining what's significant and what's not. Even as we talk now, as we begin to think about what we should do, we all know what the problem is. We just don't really know together what we should do. Haystack syndrome is the idea that you have a lot of straws, we have a lot of information, but which one means something now? Which one will make a difference? There's another guy named Stephen Covey. You remember him, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. You remember him, First Things First. The enemy of the good, the enemy of the best, is the good. Sometimes we're so caught up on the good that we never reach our best. We're at a point as a people where we really need our best foot forward, but we can't seem to make it happen. Why not? We're not all listening to the same drum. We're all listening to the same problems, but we don't have control of the message. And believe it or not, it's a true adage. He who controls the message controls the masses. Consequently, we're still driven by an unknown face, and we call on the unseen God. First of all, let me just see. Habakkuk gives us this thing. The Lord answered me and said, write the vision, make it plain upon tables, that he may run that read it. What do we really want our people to do? What have we decided together? I heard a brother mention about the 1 out of every 3 kids may be incarcerated. That's a real statistic that's evaluating how they're going to build prisons and so forth that they talk about. But let me give you another statistic. It's not a statistic. It's an evaluation. 1.5 million black men missing. April 20th, New York Times, 1.5 million black men missing. How many of those men belong in those seats beside you? So when we're in church talking about husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church, gave himself for it, that he might sanctify and cleanse it by the washing of water, by the word, those black men don't hear it. So we may be very confident that we've covered the passage, but we have homes without black men that they're not deadbeat dads, they're just missing. They're daughters who've never seen homes with fathers, and sons who have never seen a father throughout their life, and they graduate out of the family never seeing a real family happen. But we've preached to them. Wives, honor your husband. Well, they never seen one honor. Not because there's no honor, he's just never been there. Where's he at? He's in prison. Where's he at? He's dead. Where's he at? He's in a mental health ward. Where's he at? He's homeless. Where's he at? He's just missing. What do we do with that? And I heard somebody just say he's confused. Identity crisis. So while we sit and come up with very, very quick answers, we better take time to really figure out whether those answers really solve the problem. It's time to really man up. Let me give you a couple of things that I think will bring it together. First of all, and this is not a holistic answer, I just know I don't have much time. As a people, as an African people, amen. Don't get comfortable with me calling you African, because that's what you are. Don't be silly saying, I've never been to Africa. We're black because we're slaves. African is your ethnicity. Black is your race. You're racially black because race happened here in America. When they pulled you from Africa, they needed to call you something that disassociated you with Africa, and that is black. You ain't black, you're brown. All different kind of colors. Later on, they became white. Only the poor white people became white. So race in America happened in America. It's one of those great creations of America. White people and black people. Poor white people and black people, pitting them against each other. So the reason you're black is not because you're so beautiful. You're black because that's a culture. That's why when a white boy acts black, you say he's acting black. Or a black boy talks proper, you say he's acting white. Not because you think he's smart. We see it also in country. Whenever a white boy talks country and a black boy talks country, you say they're country. You don't put color on it. Right. Because culture covers language, singing. Y'all know something? So when I talk about being black, I'm talking about culture. All right. When you talk about white, you're talking about culture. When you talk about African, you talk about ethnicity. And it's important that you know where you came from. Nobody came from black land. When we talk about this in black people, history starts at 1611, where slavery started. But when you talk about us as a people, that means we're associated with Africa, we're associated with St. Vincent, we're associated with South America. We have people all over, just like Chinese do. We're the only people in the world who don't want to be who we are. All right. But if I understand my identity, then I'm not caught up in everybody else trying to give me an identity. I'm ethnically black. No. I'm ethnically African. Because black is a color. It's not an ethnicity. My mother's father was Indian. So I'm also Indian. My mother's father was Jamaican. But they're just as African as we are. So ethnically, I'm African Indian. But because of our culture, I'm black. But because I know who I am, I don't need anybody else to identify me. Whenever a slave owner would get a slave, the one who was trusted in the house was called Sambo. Sambo was initially the African's second son. They would call him Sambo. So as he got into the big house, the slaves that were trusted called Sambo. Slaves learned how to make the master comfortable by acting like Sambo. They smiled when they were uncomfortable. They'd make a joke. They'd be kind. Whenever the master didn't feel comfortable, they would sometimes even get violent in order to make Sambo up. So when you hear a police officer come up to your window and say, you seem to have an attitude, culturally he's asking you, why don't you Sambo up? So I feel more comfortable. Very quietly we have learned to make them smile, make a joke, smile back. So it's Sambo up. We bring it even into our church. Let's all smile and be happy. I don't get too quiet when I preach the gospel, but I'm just talking about our challenge for our people. We have this in our culture. These are the paintings in the background that we live from, live through, and we act like they're not there. But if we don't handle these things, we'll continue to hit wall after wall after wall after wall. Paul said to the church, to the Jew I became as a Jew, to the weak I became as weak. But if you don't even know they're weak, how can we help? So we're serving the people that sometimes we don't even know that they're growing up without even an inkling and imagination of what it's like to have a father. Let me give you about 4 things that I think we need, very crucially that we need as a people, to put with all the other strategies and things that we talked about to make out. First of all, I found in my ministry and in my service that we need boldness. God said we need boldness.
Yes, we do.
We have to break some rules to make some rules. In the church I served, we were multi-ethnic. We had a lot of black guys married to white people. You understand that? And that was fine until we started dealing with racial things. I grew up going to white schools. I have multi-ethnic family. If you look at my family, at the family reunion, you see everything. Chinese, white people, everything. So I don't have the issue of race, so I hope we don't get it. But I had a challenge with the church of how to minister to a church that was mostly black, having white people there, knowing that now I'm going to deal with some crisis issues that will make them feel uncomfortable. It's been a long time since we talked very candidly about it. And quite frankly, many of them seem tonight have felt like staying. And I understand. Sometimes it's very hard to hear how we really feel about what police do, or how we really see police action in the spirit. And our police officers also worship. And oftentimes when we talk about the plight of Black American youth, Black Americans in America, sometimes it's unbelievable to those who have never lived it. My son went to North Carolina State University. He had some issues, and I brought him home. Between January and June, he had 7 police encounters. Between January to June, he was stopped by the police 7 times. Not one ticket, not one arrest, not anything. Why would a 23-year-old male have to be stopped 7 times? And I live in a nice neighborhood. He was driving a Lexus, so he was stopped. One police officer offered him to let him go for $100. Now, at first we may not see that as a problem, but this is black life. This is African American life. And people who don't live it can't imagine it. So we don't need to try to spend all our days trying to get them to be who we are. But we do need to stop for a minute and decide to have a strategy of our own. That's what we haven't done. Yes, there's a strategy to put minorities in jail. Yes, there's a strategy of unfairness. Yes, there are problems with it. But really, what's your solution? What is our solution to the problem? How do we plan to rescue the boys from the prisons that's designed to put them? Let me give you an example. Right now, we're watching, and I guarantee it's happening here. We're watching schools. How many teachers do we have here? Any teachers and educators? Any educators? I have watched as schools are beginning to criminalize bad behavior. Is that true? If I know where I'm from, if some of the kids get in a fight, they don't just get suspended there. They have a police officer come. They end up with a record of assault matter. I got in fights when I was in high school. I'm not proud of it. But my mama told me, if I had a police record for every fight I got into, you understand? Every scuffle I got into. You're growing up. You're learning how to exercise some self-control. You're learning how to make decisions on your own. If I got a police record for that, but you're criminalizing school. Why do you think they're criminalizing school? Well, after a while, it's like it'll be illegal to have marijuana. But if I can have you a record beforehand, there's a woman who wrote a book called The New Jim Crow. Yeah. You read that? She kind of theorizes that part of the reason these things are happening is because they need to uphold family business. They still need a flow of people going into prisons when it slows down because it's no longer a crime to have marijuana. So why not grab them up while they're still young and dumb? Out of school, get them into the system. Because the first thing they do, the lawyers get them up there and they give them a plea bargain. And they plead, and then they're in the system. I thought the parole officer in here. The parole officer end up having talk about this in church, but it's not church members, because then they come to us. I was trying to find out how to do their time working community service.
Yeah.
What's the problem with that? Well, because most of the time kids are going to break their parole. They're immature.
Yeah.
So if you put them on a year probation, and they got to drop here and there, more than likely they're going to end up violating. Now they got a record that was working when they started off with. Now they're in a system for years and years, and they're serving the judicial system financially.
Yeah.
People, product, slavery. And while we're worried about a couple of murders, and I know that those are bad, while they're showing us this hand.
Yeah, that's right.
Look at all these killings. While they're showing us this hand, we got thousands ending up in the system. The other system that's working on you, if you're not careful and you're not watching, is mental health.
Yeah.
They will take the child through mental health. As soon as they become an adult, they will put them through it. Before you know it, they give them how long. And if they get how long in them, Adderall. Y'all mental health folk in here? Once you're in that system, then you're hooked on that stuff. These things are being given in a disproportionate measure to our people. Sometimes you're happy at first. But before you know it, you're part of a system that's costing us, our youth and our leadership. What's your plan? What is our plan? Are we bold enough to call a spade a spade? Because if you're bold enough to, you'll be bold enough to admit that we've been sleeping on the job. Many preachers, and I'm one of those, we've been happily building our churches. We don't want nothing to tear up that program. So as long as we got our numbers and our budget together, we don't really want to get involved, because half the community is thankless. But that's what ministry is. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. It's what we do because we see what everybody else knows. It's like this room should be full because it's happening to all of us. But you can't wait for the room to get full. People jump on when you're dedicated and committed to the Father and won't quit. If you got boldness, second thing, you got to put meat on that bone. You got boldness. Well, another thing we like is togetherness. This is one of the most difficult things for us as people. Because togetherness is representation. I chaired a health center, Oakland Primary Health Center, for about 4 years. I was on that board for about 6 years. We got money, federal money, $2 million for babies born who died. So for high mortality rate of black babies, we have $2 million. $2 million sat there, and it was given to one of our hospitals to manage to disperse it. It sat there for probably a year or so, and then they dispersed it to the Latin community. None of that money came to the African American community, not any of it. And we were so bothered by it, but how can we be? The Latin community came in, they were organized, they were together. When they met, they said, we represent 30,000 Latins who get together and we can represent the numbers. Wow. And when the Latins said, hey, we're going to be at the health center this day and we're going to do this, they were there. Wow. When we said we're going to be there, we had about 10, 15 people show up. We could not do anything together. You can't represent. You got 60,000 African Americans, but you can't represent any of them. You have no clout. Right. So we can all be in the same position, but because we can't get it together, we can't show up in numbers. Why do you think we don't see Kwesi Nkrumah, president of the NAACP, on TV anymore? Why do you think there's been a blackout? I bet maybe only 3 of us can say who the president of the national NAACP is and describe it. Once upon a time, every year they would put them on national TV. Do you know of a black leader who's interested in African American problems that gets on TV every year? No, there's a blackout. Why? because there's an interest in us never being able to get it together. Because in order for you to do that, you have to be able to represent. We have to be sure to say, hey, I represent 20,000, I represent 30,000, I represent 40,000. Now the people who can do that are the Latins, the Italians, the Chinese, the Muslims, everybody but us. Wow. Because we got a lot of splinter groups. But we never can get together and say we represent the same thing. Guess what? All of us are struggling with the same thing. Want to be safe, want to be fed, want to have jobs, want to... But how come we can't find an umbrella to say we're together on this interest and we can show up at the egos? Now, whenever Martin Luther King came with the scene, we had the same thing going on. But they found a way to put aside their issues because they had a common problem. So we have to find our common problem. I challenge you. Find your common problem. Name it. Right now, the strongest growing group right now is surpassed us, took what we do, took what we did, took what we went through, and shoving it down our throat and doing whatever they want to. LGBT. They're taking our bathroom. Have you even known? But we're quiet. We're not saying. In fact, we're fighting their battle. Right now, because of that, let me tell you what is happening. I'm going to up. The gay white male is the most powerful person in the world. Because right now we're effectively giving him both privilege and right. Because being born white, you already come in with privilege. Now because he has the right to be seen as one being discriminated against, now he also has everything to make it equal. I'm trying to figure out how to say it straight.
No, you just saying.
He's not being discriminated against, but he's given the privilege of being treated like he's discriminated.
That's right. Well said.
So he gets both privilege and advantage. So right now he's stronger than straight white male, and he gets all the privilege of someone who's been disadvantaged. You follow? So without looking, you don't even hear them talking about gay women no more. So something politically has just happened that's biblical in stating. It's Roman in his story.
Yes, sir.
Even the gay folk don't even know what just happened.
Right. That's right.
Some of them are beginning to realize it, and they're even afraid of the reality of what just happened. And they're still asking for more advantage. And that ball is rolling so fast now, we can't even stop it. Now, all you have to do is say, I feel like I'm a woman. I'm from North Carolina. I'm so proud of them for not going for that. And it's not about gay hate.
No.
I can be very white about this. Some of my best friends are gay.
Right.
My niece thinks she's gay. She got 3 babies. So a lot of this has been sold down people's mindset that because you like something doesn't mean you have to put a title on it. It doesn't mean you are that kind of person. I can preach on that forever, but I'm not going to. The third thing is integrity. I think this is one of the more important issues. And I can talk longer about these things and put more emphasis on them, but I think y'all are wise and smart. I know you hear it. Integrity. You know what integrity means? And I want to put more than the idea of being ethical on it. Because the other idea about integrity means being whole, being complete, being entire, being undiminished. That we operate without backing off, without being incomplete. Men, we need not to need endorsement of anybody to be the kind of man God made you. You're man enough being the best you can be. Integrity means you're going to be all of you, the best of you. Instead of stopping short of who you ought to be. I sometimes counsel men on what they need to do, especially when you end up frustrated because you're overwhelmed with bills, overwhelmed with child support. I mean, my child, I made up my mind before I got married, after I got married, my children are the ones that always have their daddy in their life. I love my children. You know, my wife, my girlfriend, whatever they were going to be would never have to bother me about child support. If they abused it, they did it. But my children are never going to wonder whether their dad took care of them. I'm going to exercise integrity. I'm going to be complete. I'm going to be full of that. If I have a house, it's their house. They got a room, they got a bed, they got a place. They come to visit daddy. They come into their own. This is their place at daddy's place. So the idea of wholeness, integrity, means I'm going to be complete. I'm going to be completely me. I'm going to be in my place. I'm going to be daddy. This is daddy's house and our house. It's not where they go to your corner, put your clothes over there. No, go put your clothes in your closet. That you don't let other people define how you're going to relate to those people who belong to you in your life. On your job, when you come out of prison, when you come out, I need a job. Maybe you don't need a job. Maybe you need a business. Maybe you'll never have a job. Maybe you're designed that if you will kill yourself trying to be on somebody's payroll, but perhaps God has had you made up where you'll work in the middle of the night. We have to give ourselves a broad experience. You know, some of us would be very happy building a compost farm, but we'll never think about a compost farm. Right. We're supposed to be happy selling hot dogs, but because ain't nobody giving me a job selling hot dogs, I won't sell them. I watched a Mexican lady sit outside, put a tent up outside of a little building, and put a little thing up, start selling hot dogs, people coming by there. And you know that if you buy 100 hot dogs and sell them for $2, you're going to make more than anybody making at McDonald's. You can walk out of there with $500 a day. $500 a day times 5. That's $2,500 a week. Good God, man, I got me a good car now. If I get two of them stands, I'm driving up Bentley next year. But I don't think like that. I'm always killing myself trying to get somebody to approve of me.
Yes, sir. That's right.
I need to see what God will let me do on my own. Maybe I just need to be a better money manager. I need to be a business owner. Maybe I need to provide jobs, not have a job. It's all about how I look at the cards that's been dealt with. But in order to do that, I need integrity. But as long as I think integrity only means me telling the truth, I never hold the responsibility of integrity, meaning that someday I got to be whole. Jesus came by the well and saw a man who had been laying there and quoting there for some 40 years, said, "Wilt thou be made whole?" He said, "I will," but every time I start stepping down, somebody else goes down before me. Well, you've been there that long, you have a day to fall in before somebody. You had all these excuses. Somebody stepped down for it. I had nobody to put me in. But you had somebody to bring you in.
Look at that.
Now, Jesus, the only answer was, will you be made whole? Rise, take up thy bed, and walk. Some of us are not whole just because we won't be. Too many excuses, too many realities, too many problems. But guess what? All I need is one solution to solve a bunch of problems. I could talk more about that too, but number 4, we really need also men who ain't scared of a strategic plan. Not just a plan, a strategic plan. If you're Christian, it's biblical, Luke 14:28. But what you attempting to build a tower, sitting not down first, count the cost, whether you have sufficient to finish it. I wonder how many of us have thought about having a strategy for what we're going to do with the boys, with the men who are coming out of jail, who don't have sufficient to make, who are being used, abused, frustrated, out here by people who really don't want them to make it. What's our churches? What's our strategy? What's our plan for these kids who they're trying to put in jail rather than send them to college? Right now, let me tell you what they're doing in Detroit. Right now, in Lansing, they're trying to pass legislation to keep Detroit from having charter schools. They don't want them to be able to do charter schools. Like, you gotta realize, some people are playing. Now, mind you, it's also on the ballot to end marijuana being illegal. Y'all still following?
Sir.
I talked about the fact that use the schools to put kids in prison, in jail, to give them records. But you gotta go to public schools, because they got police there now. So if I'm gonna use the schools to criminalize the kids, then I need to make them go to public schools. If churches can start charter schools, public can start charter schools, and teach kids, and they don't have to be subdued to the police, then I found a way around it. So in order to stop that way around it, they're gonna get rid of charter schools, so that your child has to go to public school, have to deal with the police, have to deal with the public. And if we're not involved in the schools, we're not on the boards, we're not in place, you're sitting there watching your kids just be trailered to death. I'm one of those who watch my child almost go that way. And it costs a lot of money. My kids never been in trouble. In some schools, they've written in such a way that your child can be arrested almost for pretending to be rolling a joint. For pretending, because it looked like. For having things that look like drugs. They can charge a kid, kick them out of school, put it in their record that your child has something that looked like it. Because another kid said it looked like it. Because they don't have to do the same thing in course school. Criminalizing your children from schools that they have to go to. Now, $3,000 later for a lawyer. Follow me? Another $2,000 later. So it's costing the family. What about the families that can't pay that? What about families that ain't got that? They just get railroaded through, and we have to be concerned about them and know that it ain't just you. So they're trying to lock minorities, black folk, people of color, and poor folk down so they can railroad them through the prison system while churches sing hallelujah. Praise to God. While we got buildings that's there 24/7, they can operate as schools. Alternatives, you follow?
Yes, sir.
They have the spaces of it, just don't have the vision. By the time we start doing it, they will have already had all our money that could have been in the collection plate. It's not going to pay lawyer fees, not going to pay drop fees, not going to pay parole fees, not going to, because grandparents are paying this stuff. You understand that, right? We are in a difficult time, but the church has always been the answer for difficult times. I got more I want to share with you, but let me just share with you what the call of Jesus was, and I'm going to sit down and got your way. But maybe you can remind your preacher, your elders, your leaders, that Jesus had a mission, and it went something like this. Verse 18 of Luke chapter 4. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because He has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He sent me to heal the broken heart, to preach deliverance to the captive, recover sight to the blind, to set at liberty them that are bruised, to preach the acceptable year of the Lord. And He closed the book, and He gave it again to the minister, and sat down. And the eyes of all them that were in the synagogue were fastened on Him. I believe it's a time now for the church to get back to justice preaching too. And if we start preaching that also, maybe the eyes once more of the world will fasten themselves on Jesus. Maybe they'll believe that the Father has sent the Son. Thank y'all for letting me talk to you.
Thank you.
Let's give Dr. Brewington a hand. invited, we want to continue to pray that you continue to stay on the battlefield. Now, of course, the chicken's here. Chicken is here. I said chicken.
Glory.
Hallelujah. But we thank God for your time on today. We want to make sure that we pray over food. Appreciate Grill House for the food. It's a really good place to go to. Nice restaurant. Young sister just started this restaurant about 2-3 years ago, and I try to make sure I'm in there every time I meet with somebody. I'm at the Grill House eating. My clothes are at the cleaners right down here on 25th Street. That's where my clothes are. To the old man right here on 25th Street who's trying to keep his cleaners open. I go to Martin University. I attend Martin University. I could have went to Ivy Tech or IUPUI, but I purposely attend Martin University. When I can, I would love to have a couple of them millions, whatever, and have my own grocery store. When I can, I try to buy food from folks who look like me in the neighborhoods that I live in. We're going to combat something. We need to combat it with making sure we are intentional about keeping the institutions alive in our very own neighborhoods, in our very own communities. So that's one thing we definitely need to make sure we do. So we appreciate the Grill House for dropping the food off again. We thank God for Martin University. Y'all help me give them a hand. Looking at us right now, you're looking down on them. But no, we appreciate Martin University. Just appreciate you and your presence. Thank God for all of the speakers and for those who come, those who had to come and had to leave. And just thank God for Sister Dr. Tate. Just keep on keeping on. Appreciate you very much. Y'all help me give a hand to the coldest. I know y'all got some administrative assistants, but to the coldest administrative assistant in the land, y'all help me give a hand to Sister Rosalind. She's cold with my wife and women's team. They had to run off to it. You know, evolve. I tell my folks that evolve involves everybody. So you get too close, you're gonna be evolving too. You're gonna have you in the shirt too. Amen. So we definitely appreciate it. Thank God for all your presence. Bishop, if your knees still work, Bishop Warren, if your knees still work. Because if your knees still work, I saw you going out of here. If your knees still work. Would you be so kind to come up and bless the chicken for us and give us a prayer of consecration as we go back out to fight this battle. If your knees still work. We had one of our men's conferences, we had the bishop come up and talk to us, boy. And listen, when Bishop got done talking, I think 4 or 5 people quit smoking that day. They put them cigarettes down. When he shared that information, sisters weren't in the room. When he shared the information about them cigarettes, I know some folk walked out going, well, I'm not gonna smoke. And it wasn't the stuff that you see on TV. It was some man stuff. Guys walked away like, you know. This is a great encouragement for us. So come on, one of our leading sponsors, man. I can't say enough about this guy, and I have to say it each time I see him. Raise your hand for me, Holly. Holly is my champion right there. Y'all give him a hand. They are very instrumental in making sure that we can host this kind of event. Also, that we can host our leadership, summer leadership camp for young boys between ages 13 and 17. We have a leadership camp for them. I always encourage my boys, we don't have a basketball camp, we don't have a swim camp, we don't have a gym camp, we don't have a nigger camp. We have a leadership camp. We teach leadership education. You can dunk the ball anytime. You can run the ball on it. We need leadership education. So we appreciate their support and what they do for us. Also, if you want to get engaged, like Brother Anderson was talking about today, if you go on to Facebook, whatnot, today we're going to try to shut the city down today. We're going to try to shut the city down for a brief moment today at the Link for Life. We're going to be stretched out across 38th Street. More people we have, the more we can make a statement in our own city. So we talk about pulling together. It's going to be today. And matter of fact, we're supposed to be over there a little bit after today, after we leave here. We're going to do the Link for Life. You can go on Facebook. You can go on to my page. You can go on to Greg Merriweather's page. It's from 4 to 5. We're trying to go from, those of you who are Indianapolis natives, we're trying to go from 38th and Post to 38th and High School Road. We have captains at each intersection that's looking for people to link arms with, and we're going to stop traffic for that moment. We're going to stop Indianapolis for that moment. Something that's greater than you. And one of the things that we try to push is not highlight your organization or your group, but it's all of us linking for life to say, for a brief second, we're going to stop this city from 38th and High School to 38th and Post to show that we are willing to stand, link together, arm in arm, against the violence in our community, and also to bring awareness that we do care.
What time is it?
From 4 to 5. You can meet anywhere on 38th Street, wherever's closest to you. There should be a captain at one of those intersections. So if you just want to be by your crib, be by your crib. You want to be by Grandmama and them house where they keep shooting up the place at, be by her house. You know, but anywhere on 38th, from 38th and Post to 38th and High School Road, we're trying to link up to create a long line of bodies that say we're going to stop the city for a brief moment. So I want you to definitely look forward to that. And last good cleanup thing here, you should have gotten a flyer that said on tomorrow is our Whiteout Sunday at Holy Street Church of Christ right down here on 23rd and Hope. It's our Whiteout Sunday. It's where we let people wear white tees and jeans. You wear your white tees and jeans and come to service. Now, old church folk, man, the first time we did it, well, the church folk were like, do what? I'm not wearing no t-shirt to church. But first time we did it, man, it was good to see our senior members. And I shared with them. They felt the same kind of uncomfort that the brothers who wear jeans and t-shirts all day feel when you try to make them put on a tie to come to church. The roles got reversed. But we don't just wear white t-shirts just because we want to wear white t-shirts. It's symbolic and it has a purpose. We're raising, you can donate a pack of white tees. And what we're doing with those white tees is that Sister Letha Sweat, she comes by and she picks up those t-shirts and she takes them back to the Department of Correction. And when a brother gets out, she just makes sure that brother have a clean white t-shirt. That may not mean much to you. You can give a brother just a clean shirt. It does something. So we're just asking if you can participate, meet us there, 2338 Hogan Street at 1130. Wear your white tees and your jeans. And if you can't, if you just like to make a donation toward a pack of t-shirts, you'd like to drop off a pack of t-shirts, you can bring it by the building. We'll be there ready to receive it. Thank you for your time on today. God bless you. Give yourselves a hand. And behind me, give yourselves a hand real quick. I said this before Brewington came up, and he'll have the information on it. Behind me is this retreat. If you have a men's group, church full of men, or some brothers or uncles or sisters listen to, you got some brothers that you know need to get this information, they need to be at this conference. It's a great retreat, it's a great getaway, it's challenging, it's pushing, it's thought-provoking, it's everything you need for a couple of days to come back home refreshed, renewed, re-energized, and ready to go deeper than you've ever been before. So we want to encourage you to register for that. You can see Dr. Brewington, get him your information, or get his information if you'd like to register later. But it's going to be a great conference. And they even pushed my face up there a little bit, you know. Bishop got to show them how to do the pictures. But anyway, thank you for your time again. We want to pray. pray for the food. And now it's not served. Men's conference, you know, we go to women's conference, they got all that good, it's not served, it's us. Y'all let the sisters go first if they want something from over there. And you brothers just gotta get it how you get it now. Be asking me about no toiletries and stuff. Just eat, enjoy yourself.
Let's go to God in prayer. Our God and Father, thank you, Lord, for blessing each one of us with another day. So thankful for this day, Father, as we're assembled together here today to hear all the information shared, Father, to help us deal with the situation at hand.
Yes.
Father, that we may present ourselves as whole men before this city, Father, before all that we come in contact with, that we can help the black lives, knowing full well that they do matter.
Yes, sir.
Father, we thank you now for this food. Thank you for all the presenters that have presented information today. May we internalize and act out upon that, Lord, that we may be better citizens on tomorrow than we was on yesterday. Now, Lord, we thank you for this food we're about to eat. May it nourish our body, that strength derived from it, Lord, may be used for your glory and honor.
Yes.
Thank you, Father, in your Son, Jesus' name we pray. Let's all say amen.
Amen.